Hey, what's going on? Welcome back. We got another video here for you. Today we're going to be looking at the metagame. And over the course of the past week, we had quite a few high participation tournaments. We had 4 in particular that all cracked that 500 player mark. So that's quite an achievement for the Pokemon TCG Pocket. Quite a few good decks that came out, and we topped it off by the end of the week. Ursi Day, 1,995 people participating in that tournament over the weekend. I just wanted to go through, break down each tournament, seeing what decks are doing well, seeing how the metagame's shifting, what's popping up, what's doing well. So I hope you stick around for the ride. Don't mind my hair. I don't know what my hair is doing today, but it's not doing so well. But anyways, this is not a fancy video in any stretch of the imagination, so we'll just get into it. These 4 big tournaments kicked off a New Year's Eve, New Year's Day week. I'd imagine people were off or not in school or stuff, so there was a high participation across the board. But it started off with this $90 prize PGR New Year's Live tournament. And you can see we had an Executor Celebi deck take it down, and there were a couple interesting decks along the way that we'll talk about a little bit. But if we take a look at the metagame, this is an image that I did not make myself. It's from an article that I'll link below that talks about the metagame. But overall, this Mewtwo, 23%. I mean, Mewtwo is still the favorite pick every single tournament. It's super strong, super consistent. It didn't win any of these tournaments, but it was a top pick. Pikachu 15%, 14% for Gyarados, and then Aerodactyl, Celebi 9 and 8%. And you get a couple things hanging around here. We got a couple Kogas, some Greninja, heavy decks, Executor, and then Charizard EX is slipping around there at 5%. And we'll see how this changes when it comes to the Ursi Day tournament, which was the last tournament to take place over last week. But the deck that took it down was this Executor Celebi deck with a slim line of... No, not slim line. A standard line of Superior. But it had 1 Executor with the Psychic ability. But 2 Execute, 2 Executor. This deck ran a lot of Pokemon. 11 Pokemon. It had a full 2 line of... No, 13 Pokemon. Right? 2, 4, 6, 7. Yeah, 13 Pokemon. So heavy line of Pokemon. Ideally, this deck wants to get set up and just start swinging. Tropical swing, build that Celebi up on the bench, get the Superior ready, and then boom, finish it out with Celebi. This was one of the first times that Executor and Celebi have combined to take down a larger tournament. So put one into the books for Celebi. If for whatever reason we have some deck profiles in our channel, I'll make sure I throw the card up in the top of the screen if you want to check out a deck profile and of any of these decks that I have available for us. This deck I don't have an exact profile for. I haven't played this too much, but it took it down. I like the healing of Erica. 1 Leaf, 1 Erica. With 13 Pokemon, you'd be really slim on your trainer line. So they chose an X Speed, 2 Pokeball, 2 Research, a Leaf, and an Erica. Essentially, whatever you get in the active, might as well start hitting with it. They're using the promo Snivy. I'd imagine they'd probably like to have 2 promo Snivies in this deck, but I think this was pretty early on in the event, so there might have been, this player might not have had 2 Snivies. We'll see later in the week a deck that has 2 of the promo Snivies. 60 HP, 1 Grass Energy to tackle, 1 retreat cost. It's just a little bit more valuable in terms of getting an attack across with this Snivy. Another deck that did really well, this came 3rd. This was like a Greninja toolbox type of deck. I played it a little bit on stream. I didn't have very much success with it, but that could have been due to the fact that I haven't played it very much. I feel like when you take one of these decks to a tournament, you have played it quite a bit, because these toolbox decks are very tricky to play. You need to know when you're going to use Farfetch'd, when you're going to use Tauros, when you're going to use Mew. And that's a very intricate decision depending on what deck you're facing. But it had a 2/2/2 line of Greninja. Greninja, super, super strong Pokemon. That Water Shuriken ability is just absolutely cooking right now. 2 Marshallow's Revenge. Revenge is just so strong, especially when you're just playing like a non-EX deck where, you know, they have to take those 3 points. I know he's running a Mew here, but the Mew is only relevant in some matchups. Most matchups, that Mew's never going to make it to the bench, but Mew EX does make it a little bit better against Mewtwo and the Charizard matchup, where you're not really able to do a lot of damage. Hitmonlee, super annoying Pokemon, and Farfetch, also annoying. Even though it only has 60 HP, getting hit for 40 at the beginning of the game hurts. It hurts so much. And then standard 2 research, obviously, every deck we're going to see is going to play 2 research. Giovanni, a Sabrina, 2x speed, and 2 Pokeball. So, super interesting. A very intricate deck. I think this is probably pretty hard to play. Like I said, I tried it a little bit. It's a fun deck. I think I just need more practice with it. And then coming in fourth, a very interesting take on Executor EX. Ultimately, if you think there's a Pokemon that's good, throw Greninja in there, see how good it really is. So Greninja, again, that Water Shuriken, it's just so good. It's just so good. Being able to ping 20 every turn from the bench is very good. If you get lucky, you flip some heads with Executor, you're going to be doing a lot of damage. So this deck came fourth. It had more healing than the other deck, had more space in the other deck, so obviously had more healing. 2 Ericas, 2 Leaf, a Sabrina, 2 Pokeball, and 2 Research. Interestingly, they are not running any X speeds, so you're more than likely just going to retreat out of a Froakie or a Frogadier. You can attack with these 2 right off rip if this deck is running a full grass line of energy. If it has water in it, then you can obviously attack with Greninja. I'd imagine, you don't know from these deck lists, I'd imagine because Executor is just a 1 energy card. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is just grass energy. Let me know in the comments below if you have the answer for that. Was this deck just grass or was it grass water? Let me know. So that was the third interesting deck that I saw. All those from the top 4 ran in the New Year's PGR tournament. So that was Sushi taking down the tournament, Tander playing that Greninja with the Mew, and then Slowpoke playing the Executor and Greninja. So well done to Sushi taking it down with that Executor Celebi deck. Getting into the next tournament, we had the Frog EX Weekly Cup. Now I played in this one. I played in the PGR one as well. I played in this one as well. I didn't do all that well. I did. I came 33rd. Super frustrating. I went 7-2, missed out by 0.25%. I played Aerodactyl Primate in this one, but this video is not about me. It's about these guys that absolutely dominated with these different decks. So in this one, we had, again, over 500 players. I think it was 512 players. Miglio took it down with a Celebi superior deck list, I think with a very thin line of Executor. We'll see that in a minute. And then ultimately, I don't know if there's anything really too crazy here for this. Oh, maybe this Pikachu Zebstrika. I'm not sure. I have a deck list to look at. Let's just check it out. But the metagame, Mewtwo, down a little bit from the previous tournament, only at 20%. Pikachu, Gyarados, very similar. Celebi with a little bit of an uptick, coming off its win the day before, and then Charizard EX, slight uptick. Pidgeot really came out with a 5%. That could go with the fact that both Pikachu and Gyarados very popular. Celebi also likes to play a bunch of Pokemon. So I haven't really found a use for Pidgeot at the moment, but could be good. I just think it's slow and it's very reliant on your opponent putting Pokemon on the bench. So you could play Pokeflute obviously to get more Pokemon on there, but I just haven't seen the benefit of Pidgeot EX yet. But Mewtwo absolutely dominated. Didn't win this tournament, but dominated the metagame for this one. And this was the deck that won. A thin line, Execute, Executor, just a 1-1 line, and then heavy on the Celebi superior, obviously. And this guy played the 2 promo Snivies with that lower attack cost, slightly less HP, lower attack cost, and played a potion as well in there to maximize their ability to heal. 2 Erica, a Sabrina, 2x speeds to get something out of the active. So that's an awesome take on the deck. So congratulations for them for taking down the W in that tournament. And then we had, yeah, it's just a standard Mew build. But I think what's interesting in this one is they're running both Giovanni and Blue to try to target and have an advantage in the mirror match. So if you run blue in the mirror match, it's pretty good, but most Mewtwo now are running a blue. So in order to counter that blue, this person ran a Giovanni. Obviously, you have to have the Giovanni at the right time, but with Mythical Slab, Pokeball, Research, you're cycling through your Mewtwo deck so quickly. And then standard Pokemon, it's a Mew 3 deck, so it has 3 kind of Mews, so Mewtwo EX, 2 Mew EX, and then a 2/2/2 line of Gardevoir. It's cut. Some play a Sigilyph, some play a Jinx, some play a little baby Mewtwo. In this case, it just ran the 2 Mewtwo's and Mew EX. So Mew EX, once it's on the board, it's very frustrating to play against if you are the player playing something like Charizard or even in the Mewtwo mirror match. So once that gets on the board and it gets 1 energy on it, once a Gardevoir comes down, it's always just a threat to make something happen. With the blue, you can kind of try to, hold off on that. I think it obviously doesn't save Mew because Mew only has 130 HP, but ultimately this is a very interesting line of supporters. So the Giovanni, the blue, I think if you're going into a tournament with Mewtwo and you think you're going to run into a bunch of Mewtwo, just play blue and Giovanni. It's going to pick you up a couple dubs for the people that aren't playing it. Other than that, everything else in the top was pretty standard. Pikachu Zebstrika wasn't interesting, and it was just a bunch of Executor Celebi, which we've already looked at. But congratulations to Faramiglio for taking it down with a 12-2 record. So very awesome, very well done. And moving into the next tournament was the Pocket Legends League, number 14. This is their 14th tournament. This happened right on the heels of Frog EX's day 2, and I just need a little bit of water. So the Frog EX saw Santi Magoob, what a name, legendary title, with a Pikachu Zebstrika. An interesting Pikachu Zebstrika took down this tournament. But we'll just look at the metagame. Mewtwo, an uptick, up to 25%. Mewtwo, Pikachu 13, saw a little bit of a decrease. Gyarados 13%, pretty much stayed the same. Celebi's the same. Charizard's the same. A little bit of an uptake from the beginning of the week. Aerodactyl a little bit down from what it was before. It was above Charizard. It's fallen off a little bit. Executor get decks down at 4%. I thought there might be a little bit of an uptick for them, but they're down at 4%. But Mewtwo still just reigning supreme. 25% is ridiculous. But taking a look at that winning Pikachu Zebstrika deck, this was a Pikachu Zebstrika Galvantula deck with that Electro Web attack that has the effect of during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't retreat. So if you already have a Pikachu built up on the bench and you're able to Sabrina out something that you can stick there with Galvantula, then you're just going to win the game. I think being able to possibly Electro Web something that they don't have any energy on is very good, so it can't attack. You do 70 to it, and then with a 90 attack from Pikachu, that's 160 damage. You're taking out everything. You're taking out Gyarados. You're taking out... you're not taking out, obviously. Charizard, I think, is the only one that lives, but everything else is going to be taken out by that combination of Electro Web and a Circle Circuit. It's just a matter of getting those energies on board. I think where Pikachu struggles sometimes is going first, but maybe with these couple evolution cards, maybe that fixes that a little bit. Standard supporter line, 2 Research, 2 Sabrina, 1 Giovanni, 2 Pokeball, and 2 X Speed. So they don't have any potion in here, and they cut a Zapdos to get the Joltik and Galvantula in there. So I think that's an interesting take on Pikachu Zebstrika. I haven't tried it out yet, but I definitely will sometime. Probably on stream, maybe on Friday, which is just in a couple days, so we could take a look at that. But ultimately, I love it. I love it. Pikachu coming alive. I know Pikachu struggles against some things, but ultimately, if you can get Pikachu rolling early game, it's just going to roll over so many decks. So it's very hard to deal with if it gets everything online and on the board. Another interesting deck that I thought was kind of neat was this Charizard deck. I think it came third it ran the standard line of Charizard, Moltres, and a 1/1 Arcanine, but then it threw a Mew EX in there. Mew EX, maybe just to deter some opponents from playing different things, but ultimately the Mew EX, I don't know how often they used it, but if you're powering up and get some good flips with Moltres, then you can power up that Mew on the bench. I think it's just a good option to have. I don't know if I would particularly run it in my Charizard deck, but it's definitely an interesting inclusion for sure. Maybe tournament dependent, meta dependent. If you think that you're going to see a bunch of Mewtwo, maybe you throw the Mew EX in there. If you think you're going to run into a mirror match, maybe you throw the Mew EX in there. But I think it's a judgment call. You could play it, you could not play it. This deck is still really good. Charizard EX, the only Pokemon that can one-shot the entire meta right now. So whether or not you Blue or Giovanni, you're still going to take it out. 2 Research, 2 Leaf, pretty standard. A Sabrina, 2 Pokeball, a Potion, and 1x Speed. I think 1x Speed's an interesting inclusion. I think I'd rather have 2x Speeds and maybe no Potion, but the Potion, I guess, is a necessary inclusion if you're running Arcanine to keep it out of range of some of the different attackers that are in the meta right now. Well, that's a little look at the Pocket Legends League. Santi McGoob taking down the W with that Pikachu Galvantula. I wish it said Pikachu Galvantula here, but it says Pikachu Zebstrika. I think Pikachu Galvantula would have probably turned a little more eyes, but ultimately, well done to Santi McGoob taking down that tournament. And last but not least, the largest tournament of the week, every week, is the Ursi Day Pocket Weekly 400 USD prize, and it was lead. I don't know, they're French, so you never know what it might be. But they went 14-1 with a Gyarados Greninja deck that was pretty standard. It's actually just a standard Gyarados Greninja, but finally Gyarados Greninja took down a large tournament. And Mewtwo, 21%, so it came down a little bit. Large player base. Gyarados had an uptick. Pikachu was right around what it's been all week, but Celebi, a small uptick there. Charizard, a little bit down from the previous tournament. And Aerodactyl, pretty much where it's been all week long. But Celebi, moving up there a little bit, getting a little more favor. Mewtwo, still around that 20%, so still absolutely cooking. If you're going to a tournament, you want to be consistent, just play Mewtwo. Just play Mewtwo. I don't personally like playing Mewtwo, but I can understand why someone might play Mewtwo because it's just so good. It's just so good, so consistent, but it did not win the tournament. This Gyarados list won the tournament, and it's an exact standard Gyarados list. If you want to see the Gyarados deck profile, I'll include the card just up top right now. But yeah, I mean, this is a standard list. 2 Magikarp, 2 Gyarados. You got your Greninja line, 2 Dredigan. Put your Dredigan up there, wait for your Gyarados to get online, put it out there, get a Greninja online, and just basically swipe and just rampage the whole board. Rampaging Whirlpool, super good. It does get a little tricky if you're getting something that has Mew ready to be powered up. That Rampaging Whirlpool, you could get unlucky, discard your own energy. Mew could come in, discard your own energy, and then you're not able to get powered up unless you have a Misty in your hand, right? But ultimately, I'm so happy to see Gyarados finally take down a large tournament because it is a very fun deck to play. It's pretty straightforward for the most part. It just struggles when you have a Magikarp on the bench without a Gyarados and you're like staring at a Zebstrika. You're like, oh, that's not good for me. And the last deck we're going to look at is this Primeape Aerodactyl deck. It came in the top 8. I think we've seen some decks running 2 Marshadows or 2 Hitmonlees. This one just opted to run 1 Hitmonlee, 1 Marshadow to make sure you can have 2 Giovanni and 2 Sabrina. Ultimately, if this deck runs hot, it's really good. If you can run with having your Primeape up there early, you're punching, you're getting some good chip damage in with the Hitmonlee, it is going to run over a lot of things. It's just faster than so many different things. But it is kind of a more intricate deck to play just because you don't have very much HP and you're not doing a lot of damage until a little bit later in the game. You really have to have something get knocked out before your Marshadow comes in and revenges to take out a big knockout. So you got to kind of play around a little bit. Finesse, I say in my streams, you got to finesse a little bit with this deck. But overall, I think Aerodactyl is still strong. It's just not necessarily the output is too powerful, right? It's got low HP, it's got low output, but it's just consistent, and it can just do damage consistently fast, and I think that's where it really comes in handy. Hitmonlee, putting that 30 damage all over the place, it's just so annoying to play against. It's super annoying to play against. So if you're playing against Hitmonlee, just watch out for it, because it's gonna ruin your life. So just watch out for that. Standard supporter line, 2 research. Like I said, the 2 Giovanni, 2 Sabrina, I think is very important. There's so many times where I'm like, man, I wish I had 110 damage. Man, I wish I had 90 damage to knock something else with this Land Crush. So I think it's super important. 2x speeds, it's important to be able to get your appropriate Pokemon out there when you need it without losing an attachment. Losing an attachment with this deck feels very bad. If you lose an attachment, that means you can't attach to a Marshadow and have it on the bench ready when you need it. So just make sure you're aware of that. Always X speed when you can X speed. I think that's what I've learned over the games. And if you want to check out that deck profile, the card will be just above me here. But I think that's all I got for our tournament wrap up. That was the first week of the year, week of 2025. I hope you guys are having a great year. If you did like this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you again in the next one. All right, take it easy, stay safe, peace.